Hey, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Listen, today I'm going to go over something that I don't usually do here, but this is a rather personal matter. This is about my grandfather. My grandfather was in World War II. And I'm just going to read you the circumstances and everything that happened so you kind of get an idea of what's going on here. On February 16th, 1944, I was a radio operator aboard a C-46A aircraft en route from Kunming, China to Chanbua, India. About 2 hours out from Kunming, our navigator gave the pilot bearings which were erroneous. That's what came from the station. The pilot followed them for a while and then realized they were wrong. He attempted to get another bearing from the radio range at Johar, India, but received no answer. As the aircraft was nearly out of gas, the pilot decided to bail out the crew. I jumped out the forward door, but the slipstream pulled my chute out before I got clear of the ship. My parachute caught on the fuselage, and I was badly bruised when I finally broke loose and fell. I landed on a tree-covered slope and lay unconscious for some time. When I came to, I couldn't move my right arm and was suffering intense pain in my back and legs. I lay on the hillside until morning. Then the pilot, the second lieutenant, name not given, who had landed nearby, found me and helped me down to a stream. He fixed a splint for my right arm using a bamboo stick and some cloth torn from my shirt. He also rubbed my back and legs to try to ease the pain. We stayed by the stream that day, and the next morning we started to follow a small trail. After walking about 1.5 miles, we saw barefoot tracks on the trail and followed them. That afternoon, we met 5 native Kachin armed with homemade rifles and machetes. They motioned for us to follow them and took us to a small village where we were given food and a place to sleep. The next day, they guided us to a larger village. There, a native who spoke some English told us we would be taken to the British. We remained in that village for about 5 days, during which time I was given some herbal medicines and more splints were made for my arm. We were carried part of the way on stretchers to another village where we met some British liaison men and Gurkha troops. At the last village we reached, we met a British sergeant and some Kachin levies. He spoke English and asked for our names, ranks, and organization. He gave us quinine and more food. We spent 2 nights at that location and then started the trip toward Fort Hertz. That's near Putao in northern Burma, Myanmar. We were carried in hammocks part of the way and walked the rest. It took about 6 days. On arrival at Fort Hertz, we were questioned briefly by British intelligence. They gave us new clothes, medical attention, and hot meals. I remained at Fort Hertz for a few days and then was flown back to Chanbua in an L-5 liaison plane. Now, some of the suggestions that he gave. Maps should be more detailed, especially showing terrain features. It is also advisable to include more survival equipment, particularly for injured men. I would recommend more training in first aid and jungle survival, particularly on what to eat and what not to eat. The natives were excellent, but if they hadn't helped us, I'm not sure we would have made it out alive. Assistance was rendered by 5 unidentified Kachin natives equipped with locally made firearms. These men made first contact and guided the invaders through multiple villages. In each village, food and shelter were provided without request for compensation. Eventually, contact was made with British-led Kachin levies and Gurkha troop who assumed responsibility for transport to Fort Hertz. The Kachin tribesmen displayed extensive local knowledge and capability in jungle navigation, medical improvisation, and communication with British forces. His right arm was dislocated, numerous bruises throughout his body, contusions, bumps, bruises. Consistent with parachute trauma and uncontrolled landing. He also had fatigue and malnutrition due to limited food intake and physical exertion during evasion. Initial first aid was self-administered by the pilot using bamboo and torn cloth. Herbal applications from Kachin villagers appeared to reduce swelling. British medical staff at Fort Hertz administered quinine, applied band-aids, and provided physical evaluation. Hammond was deemed fit for transport and evacuated via L5 to Chabua, India for further treatment. Now, what happened afterwards was that he was sent to Florida. I don't know exactly how he got there, but he was sent to Florida. And here's the funny thing. He went back to Florida in March, like the second week of March, the end of the second week of March. He gets to Florida. Now, I don't know if he had already met my grandmother or he met her, but 2 weeks later, he got married. Okay? And then I guess it's about maybe about a year later, maybe 10 months later, my mother was born. And then, of course, obviously, she had me. So that's kind of an interesting story. But I got to tell you, you know, I found some of this information. And, I met him at least once. I remember once I went and stayed with him on his farm in Ocala in Florida. And I just remember being kind of intimidated by him because he was a big guy. He was about 6'3". I wasn't real scared of him or anything, but I was just like, I'm not going to do anything wrong here. And that's why my parents sent me to him, because they wanted him to have a positive influence on me. And back then, I didn't know what happened to him in the war or anything like that. I knew nothing about it. And so now, you know, I've heard these stories. My mother told me this a long time ago, but I didn't really think about it. And then I thought about it when we were all in Kanchanaburi, and I thought, oh, well, he came into Thailand, but he didn't. And so now I'm starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and it's quite interesting to me, and I'm going to keep trying to follow up. I've got a lot of feelers out right now for photos and videos and information, and so I'm going to try to find out as much as I can about this. Maybe I can do a little film. I don't know, but I want to do something real, tell a story, because I think that I don't want to let the story die. I think it's very important that we remember him. And I think it's important we remember him. And it's not so much about the history, although it is, but it's also about our family. And, you know, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. So, anyway, I just thought I'd, let you guys know about this. So, until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Chok di leo jerken mai, which is, and it's funny, my mother said they would never eat rice in the house because all he ate was rice when he was on the path trying to get back. He would only eat rice. That's all they had. They had rice and maybe he had a little bit of fish, but that was it. So they never ate rice again, which is kind of funny. But anyway, good luck and see you again. Dule Didi. Take care. All right.